Hurts has now completed the ultimate comeback story, overcoming a traumatic benching in the national championship game to win a Super Bowl trophy with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's played on the big stage twice now and has been an MVP runner-up once, but too many, he's not even close to being the best quarterback from his draft class. In fact, before the 2024 season, many would have ranked him 5th from this draft class. And now with him being the only quarterback from this class to hold the Lombardi trophy in his hands, things have surely changed. So in today's video, we're going to revisit the 4 quarterbacks taken before Jalen Hurts in the 2020 draft and see who, if anyone, would still be picked ahead of him today. Now, first up, we have Joe Burrow, one of the most exciting quarterback prospects to ever get the honor of going first overall, thanks to simply just a sensational and record-breaking final year at LSU. The Heisman Trophy winner opened the door to a new era in Cincinnati and one that was desperately needed after the franchise had capped off a 3-year losing streak skid with just 2 wins in 2019. Burrow was the crown jewel of a loaded 2020 draft class, and he proved to be just as good as promised when passing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in his second game as a pro against the division rival Cleveland Browns.
Burrow, Mixon, makes one man miss.
I mean, honestly, the elite outings just kept coming for Joe Burrow throughout this season. It was more so the team that was surrounding him that just couldn't convert it into wins. Joe Burrow finally suffered a brutal ACL and MCL tear to end his season early in week 11. The team only had 2 wins to show for his good efforts. Still though, his flashes of brilliance had given the fan base hope, and he rebounded in fine form 1 year later. In 2021, he was partnered up with his college teammate in Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow stormed to the Comeback Player of the Year award with a 4,611 yard, 34 touchdown, and 14 interception effort. This was good enough to elevate the Bengals to a 10-win season and a division title before making it all the way to the Super Bowl, where they lost to the LA Rams. Nevertheless though, I mean, with that Super Bowl appearance, it really did fill the fan base with a lot of hope going forward. I mean, the transformation from 2 wins in 2019 to 10 in 2021 was drastic, and the rise continued with 12 wins in 2022. Burrow delivered another impressive season which landed him in the Pro Bowl for the first time, setting up another deep playoff run. During this, he proudly announced that the Bengals Super Bowl window was during his career, and he really had welcomed in a brand new era of confidence and hope with him being the starting quarterback. I mean, truly, while that sentiment isn't far from being true, a loss in that year's AFC Championship game kickstarted a slightly less optimistic couple of years. Another injury, this time to a ligament in his wrist, ended Joe Burrow's 2023 season a little bit early before defensive woes cost the Bengals a chance at the playoffs in 2024. Burrow's career high 4,918 yards and 43 touchdowns did win him the second Comeback Player of the Year award of his career, and likely would have won him an MVP if his team could maintain relevancy, but ultimately it was just a sign that there's more that goes into a Super Bowl window than just the quarterback. Honestly, if we do go back and try to redraft this draft, you could probably argue that Joe Burrow still is the right selection going forward at the first overall pick. And now that the Bengals, now that the Chiefs do look a little bit more mortal now, who knows, maybe the Bengals can chase them down in the coming years, since they kind of had been the kryptonite for Mahomes and the Chiefs in the past.
2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback.
Now, I think with Tua being drafted this high overall too, I think many people forget that he was actually the quarterback that replaced Jalen Hurts in that fateful game in the national championship. And I mean, in fairness for him getting drafted just this high too, the dude was a freshman, came back and won the game, and then went on to have an astounding college career. So I mean, it's safe to say we can see why he went 5th overall in this spot. Tua joined a Miami team that had also suffered 3 losing seasons in a row, largely thanks to a quarterback carousel that treated fans to a mixture of Ryan Tannehill, Jay Cutler, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Unlike Burrow though, Tua had to wait his turn in Miami, sitting behind Fitzpatrick for the first 6 games before taking over and delivering a mixed bag as a rookie. There definitely were glimpses of a national championship winning quarterback there, but also there were some really underwhelming performances, resulting in him being benched for Fitzpatrick a couple of times during that season. I mean, even when Deshaun Watson was on the block to get traded, there were plenty of rumors that Miami might actually trade for Watson, but as we came to see in 2022, they went with Tua and they never never looked back. On top of that too, the tough-loving Brian Flores was also replaced by first-time head coach Mike McDaniel, while Tyreek Hill was brought over from Kansas City to give Tua another boost. And I mean, the results were absolutely instant, with Tua hitting a career high of 3,548 yards and 25 touchdowns in 2022, before repeating with new career highs again in 2023 with 4,624 yards and 29 touchdowns. Is that, well, we kind of saw how McDaniel built an offense around Tua's strengths, and then Tua proceeded to just have a career year and the best season, or one of the best seasons that he's ever had, because of the trust and the weapons that he had around him with McDaniel. Like, I mean, you honestly could argue that McDaniel and Tyreek Hill are the only reason that Tua Tagovailoa is a quarterback in the NFL still to this day. I mean, it worked so well too that Tua finally looked like the top 5 pick Miami was hoping that he would be, and that eventually earned him a $212 million contract over the next 4 years after the 2023 season. And I mean, again, while Tua has delivered top tier football in the McDaniel system, this has only produced 1 double-digit winning season and 2 wildcard round exits. In 2024, the team did fall to an 8-9 record, partly due to the injuries suffered by Tagovailoa, which has been an unfortunate trend to his career so far. I mean, he's only completed 1 full season in the NFL, and his infamous concussions in 2022 and 2024 have led to some to question his ability to hold up in the NFL, and even whether it's a good idea for him to do so. Like, I mean, truthfully, these concussions have been an incredibly unfortunate part of an otherwise great story of steady improvement from Tua in the NFL. So, I mean, here's to hoping that he can stay healthy and continue delivering for Miami. Now, just one pick after Tua, though, came Justin Herbert, who was selected 6th overall by the Los Angeles Chargers. And honestly, the selection of these two quarterbacks back-to-back has really forever tied their careers together, but it was Charger fans who were initially the happier ones with their selection of the quarterbacks. Herbert hit the ground absolutely running as a rookie. I mean, he became the 4th rookie quarterback in NFL history to pass for over 4,000 yards, while also setting a new rookie record for touchdowns with 31. This unsurprisingly made Herbert an easy pick for the Offensive Rookie of the Year award, and from there, the good performances just kept showing up. I mean, in fact, every year since, Justin Herbert has set a new record for the most passing yards by a quarterback through the first 2, 3, 4, and now 5 years of their careers. He's been impressively consistent and jaw-droppingly good at times, showing off an outrageously good arm whenever he needs to show it off. His best effort did come as a sophomore in 2021 when he passed for 5,014 yards and 38 touchdowns, earning him his first and only Pro Bowl. 4,700 yards and 25 more touchdowns arrived in 2022 to keep the good vibes going and deliver a rare playoff berth for LA, but this is where things began to go downhill. Herbert and his Chargers blew a 27-0 lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars in a stunning wildcard round collapse, which was followed up by a messy 5-win season in 2023. Injuries then piled up for the Chargers during the 2023 campaign, including for Justin himself, resulting in the firing of head coach Brandon Staley. Luckily though, this did bring Jim Harbaugh to town in a fresh wave of optimism for a team that had earned a reputation of never quite having enough to get across the line. I mean, even this year with a heavier reliance on the run game and less pressure on Herbert, the Chargers stormed to 11 wins and a 2nd place finish in the AFC West with a relatively undermanned roster. Herbert threw for 3,870 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions, earning the highest passer rating of his career. However, a season full of optimism was quickly discarded as the Chargers were once again unceremoniously turfed out in the first round of the playoffs, this time by Houston. Like, I mean, not only was it a disappointing end to the season, but it was also the worst game of Justin Herbert's career, with the 5th-year quarterback completing just 43% of his passes. And like, I mean, what's crazy about that too is he had thrown more in that one playoff game than he had thrown in his regular 17 season games combined. But I mean, without a doubt, Justin Herbert is a supremely talented quarterback, and the new look offense under Jim Harbaugh should help bring the best out of him. However, after 5 years of barely threatening to get over the line, the pressure is definitely ramping up on Herbert to prove that he can convert his undeniable talent into wins under pressure. Now, the 4th and final quarterback to go before Jalen Hurts is also the most controversial one to go inside of this draft.
The Green Bay Packers select Jordan Love, quarterback.
Like, I mean, when they took Jordan Love of all people, we all know that pretty much every Packer fan and Aaron Rodgers himself were begging the Packers to go for a skill position guy, but instead they went with this guy in Jordan Love. Oh, and in true Rodgers fashion too, the 2-time MVP responded to this by winning 2 more back-to-back MVP awards, resigning Love to backup duties for the first 3 years of his career. Nevertheless though, there are few better players to learn from than a future Hall of Fame quarterback, which meant Love was primed and ready to go when his time did become. He got off to a dream start when throwing 6 touchdowns and 0 interceptions over his first 2 games, but a midseason slump did see the Packers fall to a 3-6 record, which meant that many were doubting Love's ability to continue the team's outrageous trend of starting quarterbacks. Thankfully though, Love was nearly perfect over the second half of the season, leading the team to 6 more wins of their final 8 and pulling off some incredible throws in the process.
This one for Lazard.
Jordan Love. 37, here he is throwing in the middle, it's caught by Watson.
I mean, honestly, with the stretch that he put together down the back half of that season too, it's hard to argue that Jordan Love might have been the best quarterback down that stretch last year as well. Like, I mean, he passed for 18 touchdowns and just 1 interception over those final 8 games, and this took his final stat line to 4,159 yards, 32 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions for his first year under center. Love dragged his team into the playoffs before landing a stunning 272 yards and 3 touchdowns on Dallas in a wild card round beatdown. Like, I mean, he absolutely embarrassed Dak Prescott and his Cowboys in their own building, all but confirming that the Packers really did have their 3rd franchise quarterback in a row. As we all do know, they did end up losing to the San Francisco 49ers 1 week later, but because of the performance that he did put together, he managed to land himself a $220 million contract extension because of the year he put together. And as scary as it was too, in the beginning of the 2024 season opener, it set Love on the sidelines for a couple of games early that year because of an MCL sprain, but he returned to passing for 3,389 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. This time there definitely would be no playoff magic, as the Packers did lose to the eventual Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles in a game where Love threw 3 interceptions. But heading into 2025, Love is definitely going to be hoping, just like Aaron Rodgers was, that the front office can land him a #1 wide receiver to help him take this team even further. Like, I mean, while his performances in his first 2 years as a starter have been very promising, they have been nothing on the highs of the next quarterback taken. I mean, as we all know, the next quarterback taken, who had to wait until the 53rd overall pick, was Jalen Hurts. Like Love, this selection was actually a bit of a surprise to fans too, who believed the Eagles were already set at quarterback with Carson Wentz. However, when Wentz stumbled to a 3-8-1 record, Eagles fans were very happy with Howie Roseman's decision to invest in Hurts. The former Alabama and Oklahoma quarterback was a proven leader and an exciting dual threat prospect, but with some significant areas he needed to improve on as a passer. After an up and down effort produced a 1-4 record over the final 5 games of his rookie season, Hurts was definitely under pressure heading into the 2021 season to prove he was worth the starting job. To everyone's surprise though, a 2-5 record to start the 2021 season didn't exactly fill the fan base with hope, but Hurts managed to post just enough wins in the second half of the season to edge the team into the playoffs with a 9-8 record. His 3,144 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions as a passer to go along with 784 yards and 10 touchdowns as a rusher delivered just enough hope to counteract a disappointing loss to the Tampa Bay Bucks in the wildcard round of the 2021 season. However, coming into 2022 though, there was definitely still plenty of Hurts to improve on, which is exactly why he was so happy to see his GM Howie Roseman trade for AJ Brown during the 2022 draft. With AJ Brown and Devonta Smith performing as one of the best wide receiver tandems in the NFL, Jalen Hurts broke out in style, completing 66.5% of his passes for 3,701 yards, 22 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions. He was named to the second team All-Pro roster and came second in MVP voting en route to a Super Bowl appearance. And I mean, on the biggest stage of his career too, Hurts was absolutely amazing in the Super Bowl, delivering 374 yards and 4 total touchdowns, but unfortunately this came in a losing effort to the Kansas City Chiefs in a 38-35 thriller. But 2 years later, Jalen Hurts would get his revenge. As we all know, in 2024, along with some help of Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts propelled the Eagles to the Super Bowl once again. A strong NFC Championship outing reminded everyone that Hurts is the ultimate big game quarterback, which he emphasized by completing 77% of his passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns in Super Bowl 59. His 72 yards and another touchdown on the ground broke his own record for rushing yards by a quarterback in a Super Bowl, making him an easy pick for Super Bowl MVP. Like, I mean, in a sport where we constantly see elite quarterbacks fall short in the playoffs, Jalen Hurts' 2 best performances have come on the biggest stage of them all, and he now has a Lombardi trophy to show for it. Not only that too, but he's one of the only quarterbacks in NFL history to rush for 10 or more touchdowns in 4 consecutive seasons. Like, I mean, truthfully, there are no two ways about it. This guy is a true stud. He is a born leader and a stone cold killer when his team needs him most. I mean, truthfully, it doesn't get much better than that, right?